Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We've played every mission of the mainline Halo video games, and now we're playing every mission from the rest of the games in the franchise in chronological order. Each episode, we'll be discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the A New Enemy mission from Halo Wars 2 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. You can also receive a free audiobook trial by visiting audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. This episode, we're debriefing the Signal mission from Halo Wars 2. We are here.
What? We actually get to play Halo Wars 2? There's not another, strategy game or farming simulator or something we have to play?
No, we get to play it.
Oh my god.
Finally here.
I don't have to go to a corona-infested arcade to play another Halo game? What?
All right, I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
The Queen has arrived. I have on my crown. It says the Queen of Discord and also the Queen of RTSs in Halo Wars. Thank you.
You have many realms
many
underneath
queens,
your
yes.
queendom.
I have many territories under my control.
All right, so speaking of Krista, she's going to take us through our overview, as we always do, of Halo Wars 2, so take it away.
Oh my god. Okay, so the developer is Creative Assembly. Other games they developed are like Total War games and Alien Isolation.
Get hype.
Hey!
There's so many Total War games, by the way.
Yeah.
there's a total number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The original release date was February 21st, 2017. That's the same year the Scorpio came out, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. Scorpio, that's right.
Remember the Scorpio?
I played this game on my VCR Xbox. It's kind of weird to think about. The number of missions.
Actually.
Yeah, I know. The VCR. It was good. The number of missions is 12 in the main game.
Right.
We have more to talk about after that.
Yes, we will expand.
Oh my gosh. Other games released this year. Get ready. It was a big year, 2017. Mwah! Like a finely aged wine. Breath of the Wild. The Switch was launched. Oh my gosh. So Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Destiny 2. Resident Evil 7. Cuphead. PUBG. Nier Automata. Assassin's Creed Origins. There you go, David.
Yay!
Wolfenstein 2. The New Colossus. Oh, I like this one. South Park. The Fractured But Whole.
Yes.
Oh, I never played that.
That is a fun game.
It's in my
love
list.
it. Oh my god, do it. It's so much fun.
Yep.
It is so raunchy and amazing.
Yeah, I love the original. Or The Stick of Truth was one of my favorite games when it came out. That was excellent.
It's pretty much more of the same and it's so good.
Yeah? Cool.
Neo, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Mass Effect Andromeda. Ooh.
Yeah, I just figured I needed to throw it in
Cool.
there.
That's cool. I like it.
Oh,
It's space.
please
Don't be mean.
remaster the original Mass Effects. I'll die if you do that.
Soon.
Oh, and Fortnite.
Yay.
Oh.
All the
Fortnite.
5-year-olds were so happy this year. They got Fortnite and never played anything else. So, this game was rated. The Metacritic score was 79 for Xbox One and 70 for PC.
Really? That seems pretty low.
It does, I think. I thought this would be in the 80s, actually.
Well, I mean, it kind of is on the Xbox One, but if you read the PC
Yes.
critics, it's all PC Master Race stuff, right? It's like,
Oh, is it?
this game's alright, but it's not as good as all these other RTS games.
Yeah,
So then
well,
I
it's
feel
a
like they
more
knocked it down a bunch.
simplified RTS compared to what you can get on the PC.
Yeah.
But for Xbox, it's like something crazy new. Not new,
Sure.
but it's different than what you're used to playing on the Xbox.
Mhm.
So, platform.
I'm not saying they're wrong either. Like, there probably are. I mean, we're not RTS experts, so there are probably a lot of RTS games that are better. But it's also weird. I don't know. Like, just rate the game on its own merits versus
comparing
to the
it.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway.
I think that's a problem with reviewing in general. I think because as people, we have biases, and it's really hard to get past them. It's just natural for us, which is why sometimes ratings are good and sometimes they are bad. All right, platform and difficulty. David and I are playing Halo Wars 2 on Xbox One. Woo! Xbox Squad! And Colin's playing on PC. Boo!
Boo. PC games suck.
And I'm going to stay on PC this time, because we've already proved Krista's queen. So.
I am queen, yeah. He doesn't even want to try anymore. I beat him so bad.
I won a few.
You won a few. But it was before the competition started, most of them.
Yeah, that's true. Before you started trying.
I know. See what happens when you make me try things? It's not good. So the difficulty is normal or heroic. I'm doing heroic because Colin decided to punish me. Because I won so well last time. So.
Well, so tell me, let's just talk about that really quickly. Do you feel like this game is harder than Halo Wars, Krista?
After playing just this,
well, not after just playing this mission. You've played it before.
Yeah, I've played it before.
Or is it hard? It's too hard to compare at this point. Like, do you need to play some more?
I might need. Yeah, ask me this question again. But for now, what I'm thinking of, this game is pretty much on par with the original Halo Wars. This game gives you a little more leeway and a bunch of different units. We're going to be talking about the Nightingale a little later. That kind of changes up how you kind of play the game. But overall, like, from playing the Legendary on Halo Wars 1 to playing Legendary on Halo Wars 2, it felt like a pretty seamless experience because I played them back to back.
Okay, sure.
A lot of the strategies you employ in 1 will work in 2, just with a little tweaking, but not much.
Yeah, right.
So if you are playing along with us, play on whatever difficulty suits you. If you are Legendary, you are a god. So the Halo timeline covered. This is interesting. This is the latest game in the timeline that we will be playing.
Right.
Until Infinite.
As of recording.
Yeah, as of recording. So March 28th.
Which is such an interesting choice. That, like, when they set this game after Halo 5.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think we'll get into speculation on the recap. We'll know a lot more at that point. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Halo Wars was a prequel, because, like, you're not going to affect the universe that much. But then, for whatever reason, 343 is like, well, let's put this afterwards and see what happens.
It was a really interesting, as you see as we play through the game, the characters are like, what the hell is going on? And so it makes a really interesting dynamic having these characters wake up 28 years later and, like, everything has changed. They didn't even know the Halos existed.
And they've also integrated some stories in between there. You know, some books and some comics and stuff like that. They've had stories that help fill in some of that time gap about the Spirit of Fire, which is also cool.
Also, the setting. Being on the Ark is just so nice. The Ark is so cool. I wish it was highlighted more. So the timeline covered is March 28th to April 2nd, 2559.
Ooh, that's late.
May 1st, 2559. I'm guessing this is the DLC, eh?
Yeah, that's Operation Spearbreaker.
And then the Awakening the Nightmare is June 4th through 5th, 2559. So we're almost in the 2560s. It feels weird.
It does.
I feel old. I lived to see 2560.
60s Halo, though.
I know, in the 60s.
And just a reminder, so Combat Evolved was 2552.
Yeah.
So we have advanced 7 years from the original game.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So the game versions, the standard edition offers the base game. If you pre-ordered the digital edition, you received Halo Wars Definitive Edition for free.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultimate Edition, which is I think the edition that's on Game Pass, I think it's the Definitive Edition that's on Game Pass, but it offered early access to Halo Wars 2 on February 17th, alongside access to the game's Season Pass, including the access to the Operation Spearbreaker DLC, and access to the Halo Wars Definitive Edition. The Complete Edition, available following the launch of Halo Wars 2 Awakening the Nightmare in September 2017, offered access to the base game Season Pass and Awakening the Nightmare expansion, which isn't included in the Season Pass.
Yeah, I remember that being a little weird.
Yeah. The Complete Edition was only offered via digital download, while the standard and ultimate editions could be purchased as physical items. I think I got the ultimate edition. I cannot remember for the life of me. I would have to go look at the case.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have marketing. Some of the marketing for this was really, really cool. In E3 2016, we had our beautiful announcement trailer, and everyone died that was in that room out of excitement.
Oh, that was such... I actually watched them again and some of the other stuff, but like watching the reveal trailer was just like... It brought me back to like, is Spartan? Is it that red team? He's got a red patch on his arm. Who's that? What's that? Is that a brew? What's wrong with his face? He's got a red thing. He's got a red thing.
Because so this in 2016, we didn't know if there was ever going to be another Halo Wars.
No, this was totally out of the blue.
Yeah, like once the original Halo Wars dropped, everyone loved it, and then it just radio silence. We had no idea if there was even going to be a second one to this, so it was a complete...
Well, the developer was gone.
Well, yeah. Microsoft got rid of Ensemble before Halo Wars 1 even launched, so like that was never a good sign for the game.
So it was quite a surprise when Halo Wars 2 was resurrected, and it was just so epic. So we got some 2 live-action commercials, The War of the Wits.
I think they're hilarious.
They were real controversial.
They were very controversial. Yeah. I think it was mostly with the like storytellers in 343 who wanted Atriox to be utterly terrifying, and making him a used car salesman didn't make him very terrifying. It was pretty great, though. It definitely went viral, so I think it was supposed to be more of a viral marketing campaign, and I think it did that very well.
So there's a car salesman one, and then there's the other one where they're on the airplane, yeah. And they're fighting over the armrest.
It's almost like little Seinfeld sketches or something like that. It's weird. It's something completely different than what Halo has ever marketed in the past. There was a series of Viadocs on the Xbox and Halo YouTube channel. The story, new characters, strategy, multiplayer, new leaders, etc. Just kind of walking you through some of the new
awesome.
Stuff. Yeah.
I watched a bunch of them again today. Like, they're like... I remember when they first came out, like, the one that kind of builds the tension between, like, the character build of Atriox was so good. And then, like, there was also a great one with the music. It was one of my favorite ones, that the music was excellent. Guy named Gordy Rabb is the new the composer for this. And this soundtrack, I think, is one of the best Halo soundtracks. It's one of my all-time favorites. I think it's so good. It's such a unique sound, and for me, like, it really identifies the game and sets it apart. And I think that's awesome because you have all these unique characters in this very unique situation, and these 2 factions combating. It's just so good. And the Viadocs do a great job of building the hype for this game. It was really well done.
And it's interesting because the soundtrack almost sounds a little more cinematic, like what you would find in an actual movie. Not saying Marty O'Donnell's didn't feel like that, but those older Halos just aren't as cinematic as this game is. Like, if you watch the cutscenes, it's literally like watching a movie, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next piece of marketing was the challenge room video, and I can only describe the room. So they take a bunch of players and they put them in this like Halo Wars like pod. It's almost I can only describe the pod as like the Darth Vader pod from like episode 6 or 5 or 6, I think, where he's like, it like opens and he's like just sitting in it. That's what it reminded me of. But
I don't think I ever saw that originally.
I didn't see it either. I just did. I turned that up. Doing some research.
I feel sad because I wanted to be a part of it.
I don't know where they did it. Like, where did they do that? Even I don't know. It's almost like an AR experience plus the game inside this little pod. So there's a bunch of lights that go off and it rumbles, and might have been the E3 experience, but. It looks pretty cool. If you haven't seen the challenge room video, it's worth watching just because it's a lot of fun. There was a Halo Wars 2 launch event at Microsoft. Our buddy Oren, who's over on the main show, was able to go, and he met Phil Spencer, and we were all really jealous. That's right, yeah.
I was so pissed off.
Stupid Oren.
Stupid Oren. Well, at the time, like, I was working, so I couldn't go. I couldn't get the time off, and also, like, Florida to Seattle is quite a trip.
Yes.
It's very expensive. And Oren was working for an airport at the time, so he just got the tickets for free and just went, and I'm like, I hate you. I hate you so much. Stupid Oren. What a jerk. I hate him. Anyway. There was a Halo Legendary Crate tie-in. We got a bunch of figures, like an Atriox figure and stuff like that from the Halo Legendary Crates, which was super cool. Mm-hmm. There is a giant life-size Atriox statue, which is the statue different from the suit, or are we calling it a statue?
Maybe it is the suit. Is that what's at their
Yeah. So
at the offices
for the live-action commercials, they made this giant suit, which looks like a statue when they have it up, but it is actually a suit. You can get in it, and it is massive. It's huge. It's in the. When I went there, it was in their lobby, and it was just sitting in one of the corners. And it was just like, oh my god, how do you work? He's terrifying. You just walk in. That's how they keep the riffraff out, because you walk into the reception area, and you see him, and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get beat up. I'm leaving.
I mean, it shows you, it's probably close to scale, right? It shows you how big the brutes are.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And then we had the Halo Wars 2 multiplayer beta in January 2017, which was really fun. Mm-hmm. And then we had this interesting thing called #Twitter Halo Wars. So starting on January 17th, 2017, 343 ran a Twitter minigame to promote the new Blitz mode of Halo Wars 2.
Do you guys remember this? I remember
No, not at all.
I remember it a little bit. I was on and off Twitter at that point. I wasn't super committed to it, and now I am, and I'm on Twitter all the time. Oh my god, why?
Yeah, Twitter.
It can be played over Twitter's direct messaging system. Players could face off against the computer or challenge their friends with the #Twitter Halo Wars. Players were rewarded for their victory with an exclusive skin code, and the game concluded on February 16th, 2017. That didn't run for that long.
Yeah, it was just to promote the game right before the launch, and that was it.
And then there was also a limited edition poster series, which I don't remember at all. But it sounds cool.
Yeah, they're very nice. They also did, so their posters, you can find them online. And then, I don't know if any of our team owns them, probably not. But then they also did a mural. They took the posters and then put them out in some of the major cities and did the spray paint graffiti murals.
Oh, I think I remember that. I love it when game developers do that. They hire a mural artist to just paint the side of a building with Tracer or Master Chief or something. Mm-hmm. Then I'm like, oh man, I want to go to Detroit and go see the Master Chief mural. And then it's gone after a couple months. Yeah, probably. Some cool selfies. So some additional media. We have an original game soundtrack. Beautiful. Did they come out with a vinyl for this one?
I don't know. I didn't see it in the notes.
Possibly. Yeah, some video games they come out with a vinyl, and it's very cool for the hipsters. So we got a couple books that you can kind of read to. So
this is all everything I listed off here is everything that's kind of current state Halo.
Yeah.
So the ones that I highlighted here, Krista, are ones that are direct tie-ins.
And then the others are just State of the Universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the direct tie-ins are Hunters in the Dark, which talks a bit about the arc post Halo 3. We have.
I'm listening to that right now too. By the way, it's good.
It's good
to listen to again.
Mm-hmm. It's Smoke and Shadow, which deals with Forge's daughter Ryan, who Forge R.I.P. Renegades is the follow-up to that story. And then Saint's Testimony has to do with AIs. Is Atriox mentioned in Saint's Testimony?
He might not be.
I don't think so. Isabel might be or something, but I don't know.
Oh, it might have been Isabel.
It was all about AIs.
Yeah, and there's a prominent AI character in Halo Wars 2, which we will meet in the second cutscene. She's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about her tonight.
And then some of just the general, just world building post Halo 3 content is New Blood, Bad Blood, Envoy, Legacy of Onyx, and then Evolutions and Fractures has some relevant stories. So we have some of the comics. Tales from Slipspace, Something Has Happened, has to deal with what's kind of going on the Spirit of Fire while everyone's going a nap. Nappies. Big nap.
That was like a little stealth story. I feel like they just kind of snuck in there. It's an interesting story, but it's also totally not necessary. They just kind of wipe it away.
And then we have The Rise of Atriox, which was a comic series that is now in a book. It's about 112 pages, and it just kind of has to do with learning about Atriox as a character, his rise to power, gaining allies, stuff like that. It really kind of reveals some interesting moments about his career and who he is as a character, because he's not just like a mindless villain. He actually has motivation, and he's actually a character, which is really cool.
They build him up interestingly, but I'm convinced that this wasn't released correctly at all, because all of these comics should have came out before the game.
Yeah, and especially Rise of Atriox.
Definitely, because the Rise of Atriox stuff is the first 2 issues, I think, just repeat pretty much the cutscene that you see in the game.
It's one of the full comics is pretty much the cutscenes. But I was also looking at because I have the full collection of it, and they were talking about in here. They were talking about how Atriox they once they kind of created these cutscenes and everything and created the character, they realized how cool Atriox was, and they wanted to provide some more background. So it's and I don't know how long the development cycle is and when they came up with Atriox and all that sort of stuff. So it may have been down to the wire, or they may have realized when they're getting close to launch, hey, we should do a comic, or a media piece to flesh him out a little bit more. So I could see how it happened both ways, but do yourself a favor and read it before you play the game.
Yeah, it's worth the read. It's pretty cheap on Amazon, I'm sure. So we have some toys. We have a new series of Mega Construct sets and Mattel action figures, 12-inch and 6-inch for your pleasure. And then we have some collector's edition strategy guides that have in-depth looks at the aspects of the game, stickers and blitz packs, and then some cool concept art. So if you like strategy guides, strategy guides usually help with the strategy game.
So a good strategy to pick up strategy guides is go to Half Price Books, because that's where I picked up mine. You just go into the gaming section, and every once in a while there's a super cheap Halo book that you can just snag for $5. Whereas if you go on Amazon and try to buy it new, they're usually in good condition too. But if you go on Amazon, they're $20, $25 and up. So anyway, that's how I grabbed mine. Hey. Thanks, Krista, for the overview. Now we'll get into... So we've done Halo Wars, and we've talked about that, and we've kind of gone through, how we attacked each mission. We'll do a similar approach to each mission for all of these episodes. But once again, we're not RTS experts. Besides, I guess our queen Krista is the expert on our real-time strategy. Well, you're the best anyway.
I'm the best out of these 3.
Yeah, exactly. So we, as we've talked about in the past, think about you hear about games like StarCraft and Command and Conquer, so you're controlling the overworld instead of the individual character that we've done in a lot of the other games. A lot of the missions are about building up your base and then upgrading them, and then slowly either moving to a destination or overtaking the enemy forces before they overtake you, and you have to start over again. So just a super brief overview of our real-time strategy games. You guys probably all at least know what they're all about. The strategy guide that I have breaks down the story into 3 different acts. So mission 1 through 5 is Act 1. Mission 4 through must be 6 through 9. Mission 6 through 9 are Act 2, and then Act 3 is the last 3 missions from there. So I wanted to talk about the differences from Halo Wars, and there are a lot of the things are the same, but there's also some notable differences. One of the big differences is that power is different. Remember, we talked about lightning bolts in the original Halo Wars. Those aren't a thing anymore, but you still have to generate power. And power is something that you accumulate through generators, or I think they're called power nodes on the map as you capture them. So you need to use both your supplies that we're used to from Halo Wars, but then you also have to accumulate power as a different part of the economy. So that part's a little bit different. Any thoughts on that, Krista? Do you remember transitioning from Halo Wars to Halo Wars 2, and how much that does that simplify things, or does that help make things more, I don't know, complicated, in a good way, I guess?
Oh man, you're gonna have to ask me when we get a little further into this. I can't remember.
That's fine. Yeah, I played one of the missions. Actually, I messed around with a little multiplayer, and it was okay, this is different. And I'm not an expert on RTS stuff, so I'm not able to comment. It seems like it makes it a little bit more complicated, which in a good way, to make it a little more interesting. But once we cover the next mission, we have a lot more of this first mission is very basic, so the next mission we'll get into that a little bit more. But you also have to advance technologies, which is different than the last one. So in Halo Wars, you just had to get a couple different lightning bolts, and then all of a sudden you could build more stuff and more vehicles and upgrades and things like that. Now you have to actually spend some of your economy, your supplies, and your power to upgrade your base, so that will then allow you to build a different vehicle, like a Scorpion or something like that, or it will allow you then to you have to upgrade your barracks to then upgrade your Hellbringers, things like that. So that's a little bit different. There's lots of new units, and we'll cover those as we go. So no worries there. There's the Phoenix logs, which takes place or replaces the timeline that we had previously in the black boxes that we had previously. So Chris is still going to read through those. There's a bunch in this first mission, so we're just going to summarize those for now. But they're juicy. I still haven't read all through all the Phoenix logs as of today. There's a lot when you go into that section. So but it's good. It provides you a lot of good background on Halo. So if this is for some reason a jumping on point for you, you can really dig in and get a lot of the universe from this game. There are also bonus objectives, which we didn't have before. So there's still optional objectives, and now there's bonus objectives that you can you can complete and then give you some additional points on your score at the end. I didn't see a theater. I was do you guys know if there was a theater? When you look at the menus, can you go back and look at all the cutscenes like
I
you
don't
could
think
in the
so,
previous
no.
game?
No, I think
Okay.
you just gotta go to YouTube.
Thing.
Yeah, just YouTube, right? Yeah, which I'm sure they probably had that conversation at one point. It's like, people just post this on YouTube, so yeah. So it's not packaged within the game. There's the overall ranking. So there's an XP ranking that's separate from like your score. So as you play missions and as you play multiplayer missions and Blitz, those all go towards your individual XP score. That's similar to like your Spartan rank, I think, in the first-person shooter games. And as you rank up, you will unlock different levels of Blitz packs. So that's the new portion of the game that we'll probably talk about it. We're not going to talk about it much during the main series, but we'll talk about Blitz probably in the recap a bit. And it's a different game mode that it's like a monetized game mode. It's supposed to be a shorter, like tighter version of a multiplayer. I wish they made like a single player version of it, because it seems like a cool mode, but you need to have an online player to play against. And I've messed around with it a few times. I remember the past, and I just got smoked. So it wasn't that fun. It seems interesting though. I wish you could just pop in and play against the AI.
Didn't they have a Blitz mode firefight?
There is a firefight mode. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. There is a firefight.
Yeah, just play
mode that you can do.
firefight. It's almost like a.
Yeah.
I don't think I tried any of these modes.
I tried.
I don't think
Okay.
I did at all.
I tried firefight. It's almost like a deck building game. It's like an RTS and a deck building game all in one. So it's
Yeah.
pretty
Blitz,
interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Blitz had the decks, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you had to open the packs for it, the Blitz packs,
Yep.
and you got different cards. It was interesting. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah, so we'll talk about that later in the season, I guess, in our coverage of Halo Wars 2, once we have a little more experience refreshing our minds about it. So difficulties is, so in my strategy guide, and as you remember when we covered Halo Wars, there were a lot of different things that went into the changing difficulties, like you'd get more health, or the enemy would have less health on easy, or there would be maybe like a mega turret that didn't exist in the other difficulties. It seems, as I'm reading this, and maybe we'll find out as Krista plays on Heroic and we're playing on Normal, there are some differences like that, but according to the strategy guide that I have, it more or less just says the harder difficulties are just harder. The computer is smarter, and it is more efficient in the higher difficulties versus trying to throw modifiers at you, which you can still do with the skulls, but it's not the game itself. I think the way that the AI works is the AI just knows how to play the game better on Heroic than it does on Normal, so it plays at a different pace.
Yeah, pretty much.
One of the interesting things, and I had never heard this, as you know, again, not being an expert on RTS, is they talk about an APM, which is a acronym used for RTS, actions per minute. And the guide says that you want to increase your actions per minute as you go to the higher difficulty. So as you're getting more familiar with the game and the mechanics and how, you know, how it works to manipulate all your units and whatnot and builds, you're wanting to be more efficient on the higher levels. So on easy, it says in order to beat easy or be competitive on easy, you should have about 15 actions per minute. On normal, you should have about 30 actions per minute. On heroic, you bump up to 60 actions per minute, which that feels like a big jump there. And then on legendary, you're at about 90 actions per minute. So you're doing lots of clicks, lots of things. You never like your screen's never sitting still. Like you're always moving around.
Now that sounds like a lot, but a minute in game time in any game you're playing is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like competitive games are decided in minutes, not in like seconds or anything like that. So.
And I think one thing for me specifically, again, you know, like I'm okay at these. I'm okay at best. Is I'll find myself, you know, bringing a unit over to an encounter, seeing the encounter and like staring at the encounter, waiting to see if I win or not, and then going to do something else. Whereas people that actually know what they're doing are like, okay, I'm going to send these guys up. They'll glance at the encounter and say, okay, I'm going to win this encounter. I'm going to go back and do some other stuff. I'm going to go build over here. I'm going to go send some other units here. You know, I'm branching off different squads and whatnot. And that just, you learn that over time. Like the more familiar you are with RTS, the more familiar you are with Halo Wars 2, you will get better at that versus, you know, just kind of plodding along saying, okay, I have a Marine and I have a Warthog and I'm going to send these two guys and they're going to take out that one, you know, so your brain just reacts faster to everything.
Well, and the other thing is like you need to be very decisive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to know exactly what you're gonna do and just roll with it. There's no, like, backtracking or anything like that. You just have to go for it.
Yeah. And deal with the consequences, right?
Yeah.
And being okay with your units not surviving. If they don't survive, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't get those guys. Meanwhile, I'm building up a different force somewhere else that I can then send to counteract that the enemies that just overtook my units.
Yeah, especially when you're playing Legendary, you are not trying to beat the par time. You don't care. You're gonna keep kind of experimenting and going in and seeing how well you're gonna be doing and what units work best for what. You know, you obviously have to be very decisive about that, and you have to just go for it, but you're not on any time crunch unless the mission has a time crunch in it.
Yeah. The part-time, I feel like part-time's a little bit of a misnomer. And it seems like also that part-time does change from difficulty in this game. So I watched somebody do a legendary run, and their part-time was for this mission was 3 minutes, but part-time for normal was 4 minutes. So we'll see how that changes over. I'll just keep an eye on that and see if that does indeed change, or maybe with an update they change the part-time. I don't know. A couple other things just to keep in mind, or just some key RTS terms. I probably won't use these all correctly, but these are some other RTS terms that experts talk about, or the developers talked about, is expansion. So, you know, when to grow your footprint on the map, the different rally points that you have, you know, when you're sending your units, how to counter. So there's a basic rock, paper, scissors that happens with all encounters. So in general, infantry beats air beats ground, and ground beats infantry. So that's a generic, RTS mechanic that's used. So how do you counter when you see an air unit? You're like, okay, I got to get some of my Marines to go and shoot down that Banshee. Whereas if you see a Wraith is going to take out your Marines. So then you're like, okay, well, I got to go and get some air units to take out that Wraith. There's also micro is another term, which is this micromanaging your units. And then economy is the overall like accumulation of resources, construction of your facilities, your buildings, and then also production of units. So you want to keep a healthy economy as you're playing each mission. And a lot of this stuff applies more to the multiplayer. It does definitely apply to campaign, but it's more used regularly in multiplayer aspects. A couple other things that are different. So skulls aren't collectible anymore. You unlock skulls by just doing different actions in missions, like, you know, killing a certain character, or, in the past we've done like, taken down a bunch of Banshees before the skull popped up. Now you don't have to go collect the skull anymore. You just have to do the action. they still modify the gameplay just like they did previously. So there's a screen where you can activate the skulls that you want. There's some skulls that actually modify your score, and some don't. They're just like grunt birthday party type stuff. But did you guys notice that the design of the skull is now for legendary is now a Girolane skull versus a Sangheli skull?
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's very good. And just the design if you look at all the skulls, the design of them is very, very good. There's one called it's like train or something like that, or and like the jaw of the skull looks like the front of a locomotive. It's pretty cool. So we talked about game modes. There's Blitz is really the new one. There was Skirmish before. There was multiplayer before. So most of that stuff carried through, but Blitz is the big one. And then another one that's just interesting, maybe talking point, is that the character models are different. So, it's been a while since they created Halo Wars 2. They're now, they're using blur still, but the way that blur does their animation has just advanced quite a bit. And now they're using motion capture versus like the drawn character models that they did in the past. So Cutter looks different, and I'm okay with that because we get these beautiful, sweet cutscenes, right?
I have a bit of trivia on that.
Yeah.
They said in the original Halo Wars, the characters were hand sculpted and animated, whereas Blur has since come to favor full motion capture technology, including facial performance capture. Due to that change, actors that resemble the characters they are playing as closely as possible are preferred. So most notably, Captain Cutter was originally voiced by Greg Berger, is now played by Gideon Emery, and he was digitally aged to appear closer to Cutter's biological age.
He's the guy in that live action trailer, that commercial, by the way. So he's Cutter. Yeah, that's him.
Ah, that's cool. While Faye Kingsley was recast as Professor Anders due to the scheduling conflicts with her previous voice actress, Kim Mai Guest. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Some changes up.
Yeah, so I know that people are grumpy that, Anders doesn't look like she's as, from Asian descent as she, did in the first game, in the original game, and it's like all that stuff.
I don't know.
That stuff doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
She's not as Asian, but I think
I get it.
The reason why it makes sense.
Yeah, like the rationale, getting real actors to play these, and I think they did try to get an actor that had, some of that, ethnic background, but it's just not the same as what we had in Halo Wars, because that's impossible to get, right? Because those weren't
real people.
Those weren't real people.
Yeah,
exactly.
And here's the thing: the graphics look 10 times better when you have an actual face to model the graphics off of. So some compromises have to be made. They're not going to digitally make her look more Asian.
Yeah, that's just exactly. So anyway, I think all that stuff is all positive in my mind. Some of the stuff that's the same, a lot of the mechanics are the same. You're still moving units around. It's RTS, so a lot of the stuff it feels similar to playing Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars, you're still building bases. You're still moving your units around. You're still, if you want to. Oh, what was the term we've talked about? Turtling, and one of the terms. Yeah. I think one of the terms I read in the strategy guide was death ball, where you just have this little wad of units that you move around. And they definitely said using that strategy is okay on easy, but on the other difficulties you need to disperse the ball. Scoring goals are still a thing, but we don't have 10 anymore. No more 10.
Aww, sorry, David. We don't have a rating.
Whatever.
For
I never got. I didn't get no 10s.
And then I think there's some achievements that are tied to getting gold and all that stuff on missions. So, so again, we're not going to do the competition like we did last time because we proved that Krista is best from our crew here. So we're just going to forge ahead with, we're just not going to really care about the score. We just want to complete the mission and talk about the story. And then you can still save your game mid-mission and all that sort of fun stuff. We got some tutorials to do. I don't know if you guys ran through them. I like the tutorials, the basic controls and the advanced tutorials, where you're inside the Spirit of Fire, roaming around, and your enemies are other marine or other colored Marines, like blue Marines or something like that. It's teaching you how to play the game. I thought that was clever.
I don't think I've ever done that in my entire life. I don't remember that at all.
It's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah, give it a shot. You get achievement, I think, for doing it too.
Oh shit! Then I've probably done it actually.
Probably.
And then there's a Blitz tutorial as well, which we'll talk about later on. Okay, there we go. That's our quick overview, maybe not so quick overview of Halo Wars 2, but there's a lot of other stuff to talk about.
We have to talk about the game now.
Like the game, like what happens in the mission, like these new enemies that we get to encounter. So now I'm going to do my overview. The last mission that we played in chronological order was Guardians from Halo 5. Isn't that wild?
That's weird.
That was the last mission chronological. So this mission happened in October 28th, 2558, and now we're 5 months forward. Actually, exactly 5 months forward. So October 28th, 2558 was Guardians, and then this mission was March 28th, 2558, which is pretty wild. And they explain they hint at some things that happened, so it's pretty good. So quick overview of Guardians. Despite Fireteam Osiris's best efforts, the reclamation was set in motion. Spartan Jameson Locke managed to help 031, Exuberant Witness, save John, Kelly, Fred, and Linda from the clutches of Cortana's cryptum, but our once trusted ally gained the support of countless created AI and dispersed Forerunner Guardians across the galaxy to enforce her version of the Mantle of Responsibility. Earth was quickly locked down, and the UNSC Infinity decided to run until they could find a way to fight. That whatever time I watched that little bit of cutscene where he says, was it Roland says, "Well, we're just gonna run," and then Lassie says, "What I just said, right?" It's like, yeah, until we can find a way to fight. I get a little bit of a chill, because I'm excited to see what happens next. But here's what happens next. In the Signal, after 28 years adrift in space, the UNSC Spirit of Fire is mysteriously transported to the Ark, and its crew is released from cryosleep. As the Marines shake off the cobwebs, Professor Ellen Anders detects a mysterious signal emanating from a specific outpost on the Forerunner superstructure. Without the aid of Serena to decrypt the message, Captain James Cutter orders Red Team to investigate. The date of the game, again, is March 28th, just to set the stage, March 28th, 2559. So, we have some objectives to accomplish here. This is a super short mission, so a lot of this talk is just going to be about cutscenes for the most part. But the main objective is reach the source of the signal, escape to the Pelican, and then also, at the end, is escape to the Pelican evacuation zone. Optional objectives are to find all the Phoenix logs, which are like along the way as you're driving your Warthog around, and then complete the mission with under 50% damage, which seems easy, but I had to run it a couple times to get that. And there's also a bonus objective of killing 5 grunt squads with the Warthog ram. Part time is 4 minutes on normal, and I think it's 3 on the harder difficulties. Our scoring goals are 80,000 for gold, 35,000 to 79,000 for silver. Bronze is 11 to 34,000, and again, no more tin. Just a couple things to talk about on the battlefield, Krista. You want to just go over those quickly?
Yeah, so we have all of Red Team. We get them from the start. So we have Jerome, Alice, and Douglas, until we don't have Jerome or Alice anymore.
Well, we don't get Douglas anymore.
Oh, it's Douglas that gets click-clacked. Okay, yeah. So we get Jerome. But they have personalities now.
They do have personalities.
They talk. Oh my god.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they're very distinct from one another. So that's good. We get a Warthog. Fun stuff. And then everything goes to shit and everything attacks us. So we got brutes, grunts, ghosts, wraith, and banshees just all trying to murder us all at once while we're in just one Warthog. And we got one Spartan out and we got one person on the gun. And we're running really, really fast to a Pelican for some medical evac. But that's all I have right now. Oh, we also do see Nightingales and Hornets, but we don't do anything with them.
Oh, right. Yep, I didn't list those. Good call.
I saw the Nightingale and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot you existed, but now I praise you. You're my new god. But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. All right, so now it's David's turn to talk. David
has the tough part on this.
Regale us with the description of these beautiful, beautiful cutscenes. These things are so good.
Have you ever laid your eyes on something so beautiful you cried? Because that was me last night when I played this game.
Yeah, when Krista started posting about like how good this shit looks, and like I haven't seen these and like since I played the game when it came out, so but hot diggity,
yeah,
it's a fine looking piece of work. You can see the difference, like if you go from Halo Wars 1 and 2, just the difference in the cutscenes. It's so good. Like, I mean, we get and the intro to this game is like it's so hyped too. Like, it's so well done. God, I don't even know where to start. Like, I mean,
start at the beginning.
What's the first thing you see, David?
The first thing we get is it's kind of a lead off to like how Serena ends Halo Wars 1, which is like something has happened, which actually ties into a short story that Colin mentioned earlier. It was a comic in Tales from Slipface. And it's just like, essentially, it's okay, it starts. UNSC Spirit of Fire in space. It looks beautiful. It's in the background. There's all
space.
the sea.
Spirit of Fire.
Space. You get like the little kind of blurb of like, you know, the status is like lost for all hands, the year. The year is very important, like they said, we knew going in, but like 2558, which is 28 years since they were awake. And you just see the ship, kind of lights come on, you see it kind of powering back up and things reopening. And as you're watching, Serena is talking, and then it becomes clear that this is a pre-programmed speech that she's made. Because Serena could only last 7 years, and it's been 28 years. So
you like how they show Forge's empty cryo?
Empty cryo, yeah, definitely. So like to kind of hammer it home of the losses since the last game. So it's pretty cool. It just shows the crew kind of waking up as Serena talks to Cutter about like no mention of, you know, the flood infected sections of the ship you know, Jerome. Was it Jerome or Douglas?
Jerome. Yeah.
Jerome came
I feel like that's why they kind of crammed that in after the fact.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's a cool story, but yeah.
Yeah, it is a cool story. Yeah. Anyway, that's the something that happened, just in case you were wondering. But it kind of just shows the ship waking up again, Cutter moving throughout the ship. This is a kind of slow reveal of him walking, hands behind his back, and everyone kind of saluting. Everything looks so sexy. All the people, the corridors, man, it's so good. It's pretty dope. So pretty much Cutter is making his way to, you think it's the bridge, but I think it's the observation deck where the lab where
that's his like
setup.
Didn't he talk about that in the first game? How it's like his personal quarters or office, but she's taking it over.
I don't think it's his office or quarters. It is an observation deck. It is a thing just for looking, but like it's not a lab that she just takes over.
She took it
like,
over as a lab.
It gives my work perspective. I think it was her quote.
Yeah.
Good memory, me. Look at that. I'm pretty proud of that.
Oh, the other thing that was cool to notice is that if you watch at the very beginning, you could see the elevator he gets in. So, you know, he walks towards the camera, and then you watch the elevator go down all the way
from
to
the outside of the ship, and it kind of scrolls down.
Having an elevator on the outside of the ship doesn't seem very safe. It seems like you might die in the elevator.
Good point.
You get style
Having big
points.
Windows on spaceships don't make sense.
Unless it's the super cool engineer windows where it's just like they made the hull clear because they're magic.
That's true. From Kilo.
They just took the seeing part out of it so you could see through it.
Yeah, that's good
That's
science.
how science works. I'm a scientist.
So immediately you're introduced to these two main characters, Captain Cutter again and Anders, and like we said, mentioned they look different. Because of the actors and stuff, but I think you can see like the performances are way better straight off the bat. You can notice the difference in how these two actors perform. So they're pretty much talking about like, where the hell are we? We don't have a slipspace drive, so we haven't been in slipspace, but we've arrived somewhere where we shouldn't be. We're way off track. We're not on the map. We don't know where we are. And there is a massive object in front of us.
Well, she says specifically, like, they were taken, or no, Cutter looks at the data,
we were brought here.
Yeah.
So Anders proposes, and she's really excited, by the way, which I think is pretty funny. You can tell how happy she is, and like she's thrilled with what's happening.
Yeah, no small talk from her either.
Not at all. She's all business still.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like, we're here, we don't really know anything. It's a crazy looking thing. We, the player, don't recognize straight away they're at the Ark. Obviously, they've been out of the loop for 28 years. They've no idea what's going on. and they're kind of like trying to figure out where they are, and then they receive a signal, a UNSC signal, which they get very excited about, and then they can't decrypt it because they've been they're out of date from the military intelligence and their various encryption protocols. But
they don't have Serena anymore. Like maybe Serena
and they don't have
could
Serena.
have.
That's a big deal. Yeah. Without an AI, it's kind of like they're hindered in a big way in certain ways. Like they can't break through either the encryption or like what's jamming the signal. They can't even tell exactly where it's coming from. They just have an approximate location. I like the idea. I like Cutter's breakdown. Is like immediate synopsis of, if we've improved our technology and our encryptions, it's a great sign that we've potentially won the war with the Covenant and that we're still around. So I like how he quickly deduces the positivity from that, and how like that is accurate. So that's pretty cool. So like the first mission is pretty much, okay, we have to go track down this signal. And Anders is pretty much the exact same, where I want to go. I'm going first. Me,
pick me.
Yeah.
But
that's how she was in the last one, right?
Yeah.
You are a science lady, so now you're a AI lady until you're not the AI lady. But then that's pretty much where the first kind of cutscene ends with just like showing you the kind of the arc.
Yeah. And the hologram technology is improved. Like the way that they show it in this cutscene is great, but it's consistent with what they had been doing. It was similar with the holotable and things like that. So it feels very like, what's the movie? It's like Iron Man, or what's the other one with Tom Cruise in it?
Minority Report.
Yeah, Minority Report.
Yeah.
So Halo's adopted that, right? Which I love, which is very good. But I just want to mention a couple things. Something mysteriously brought them here, which is weird, right? And they say it explicitly, like we dropped out of a slip space portal. What was it, like a week ago or a day, like a little bit ago?
And here's the thing:
they were awakened.
They don't have a slip space engine.
Exactly. So something transported them there, and then I think there's an off comment like, "Oh, well, something from here brought us here."
Yeah, something on this end opened it up and must have brought us here.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point, and we'll find out if that plays into the larger story. But I think that it's very curious, very curious. And then there's also this mysterious signal that maybe somebody on the other end of the signal is the one that brought us here. I don't know. We'll find out here in a second. But I think this cutscene is fantastic. The other thing that's a little weird, and it's probably easily explained, is like Serena's dialogue. I don't know if she maybe she was able to like record her voice, say like, hey, here's my voice module, here's the update that's gonna happen, so my voice module is gonna read this update whenever they wake up, because like she's gone, but like she's still there. A recording of her is still giving them update. I think she even says like 28 years. So that's a little bit weird to me. Does that bother you guys at all, or is that easily explained?
I never noticed that. She says 28 years.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I feel like that's a canon slip up because it's a pre-recorded message. It can't be. That doesn't make any sense.
She didn't stay alive for that long. Yeah.
Yeah. No. How would she know when they get waken up, or
unless there was?
A message in 20
it
years.
is an AI. It could have had a subroutine that told you how many years it was.
That's what I'm saying. It was like, okay,
maybe it's like
read this number with my voice when you actually wake up.
I feel like that could have been a thing.
Yeah, she says specifically, we've been adrift for 28 years. So anyway,
no, we just fixed Halo. Nice.
We found a fly and then we fixed it.
Any other thoughts on this cutscene, Krista?
Oh my god, I like how Anders interacts with everything going on. Like, she picks up a digital map off of the display and then displays it up and then puts it back down. And I just think it's really cool seeing them interact with this which the technology isn't as advanced as it is in universe, but it's a really advanced technology. And I just like how she interacts with it. It's just so visually appealing to see her like pull up a video out of nowhere and then put it on the holodeck and then
well, she grabs something when she's talking about the slip space portal or the slip space drive. She like pulls something up, grabs a little like orb, and then she chucks it down into the table, and that ends up being the arc. Then the arc kind of blows up from there.
It's really cool and it's really well done. I think the choreography of this cutscene was really, really good. It's like it moves really, really well. I love it.
And this also, I think, shows you the benefits of motion capture as opposed to like the previous, drawn or whatever the technology was before. Is that these are real actors? They're acting this out. They have all the little dots on their suit, and that's why the facial animations are so good. And so they're able to animate this with their body, and then Blur is able to take that and run with it.
Which really makes it way easier to have all this fluid motion in a cutscene. Because before they had this tracking, like, everyone moved really weird. Like, you couldn't get a lot of motion out of, just something built from the ground up without any human kind of reference to it. All the motion looks really weird and very stiff, but this looks very fluid and great.
Yep. So then we get to our mission briefing screen that just fleshes out the story a little bit more before you go and interact with each mission.
I love
before
this
you
part.
actually.
I love.
Yeah.
These.
So these the at the very top of the screen it says unexplored installation, which is very true for them. Like, they don't know where they are. And then the map, the setting is the UNSC drop zone, just kind of where they're plopping people people down. Then Anders talks about how they've narrowed down the source of the signal to a specific region, so they actually sent out a recon team in advance, and that's when you are red team here, you'll see that recon team has already been there. So
I thought this was a little weird that, like, you're the recon team, but we send out recon teams in front of the recon teams.
Yeah,
I'm like,
too many recon.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you were supposed to be the one reconning, not meeting up with recon. I don't know.
It's like that meme with the two Spider-Men, like, pointing at each other. It's that.
Yeah, right.
You're the recon team. I thought I was the recon team.
Well, and I think you also assume that red team is the recon team because Cutter says specifically to to Jerome, he says travel light.
Yeah, you are the recon team.
Well, yeah, it says travel light, so it's like, okay, you're gonna go search stuff out. But yeah, I agree. All right, so let's get into it. You get plopped off in your cute little warthog, which has been upgraded, by the way, from the old style to the new style, mysteriously. But now you have those handlebars that are on the outside of the warthog. And this whole mission is just kind of teaching you how to move something around. If you didn't do the tutorial, select your unit and plop it. Click on the different parts of the screen and the map, and then it's going to move to that spot. You're going to pick up those Phoenix logs along the way, and then you're going to stop at some point. It is interesting though. I like how they explain those barricades. So the barricades that you've blown up, those were put up by the humans that were already on installation 00, right?
Yes.
So they were trying to stop whatever we're going to encounter here, right?
Oh no, it's the flood. It's always the flood.
So there's a couple different barricades that you have to blow up, and with your warthog full of Spartans, which is also pretty sweet. And so Alice, I think, is the one that's on the chain gun. She takes down those couple spots. Then you advance through. You do a little fun warthog jump for some reason, so you have that ability to do that. And then you tool around. You go through a portal. And so it's just, again, like putting the setting, like all this weird stuff is this alien technology is in place on this installation. You get transported down to a lower section. You go around, and then you're right outside of the Henry Lamb. What is it? Henry Lamb Research Outpost.
Yeah.
Yep. And so Henry Lamb is, interesting enough, is in that book I'm just reading. He's in Hunters in the Dark.
Yes.
So that's a cool tie-in there. So the other thing that they mention is, as you're kind of mysteriously working around this map and trying to figure out what's going on, is you see a lot of plasma burns. So you're like thinking plasma burns, okay, this is going to be Covenant technology that we're going to encounter here pretty soon. You pull up in your warthog outside of Henry Lamb's research outpost, and then we get another cutscene. David, what happens in this cutscene?
Oh my god, cutscene in a mission, so good.
2 cutscenes.
It's like real video games.
All right.
So what you get to see is kind of a nighttime view of the research post. It's kind of where it kind of breaks you in. It shows the red team kind of moving into the facility. It's all fucked up. It's all in bits. The Spartans look so good.
Yeah,
oh my god, this is some real Spartan 2 shit, man. They look so good.
And they're still in their Mark IV armor, right? This is like way old technology.
Yeah, there's a bit of stuff there. Let me read this real quick. So, in the pre-rendered blur cutscenes, the Marines wear human Covenant War era battle dress uniforms, similar to the ones in Halo Wars. But in gameplay as well as artwork, the Marines wear post-war BDU design introduced in Halo 4. The Spartans' armor varies similarly between gameplay and cinematics, where the blur cutscenes use Halo War's original Mark IV armor. Red Team's models in-game and in artwork appear to be more closely modeled after the Mark VI Mjolnir. So
Okay.
that's just...
So the in-game, when you're playing the game, they look closer to the current stuff. But that's,
Yeah.
not a huge deal.
Not a huge deal. So you see, I think it's Douglas, one of the team. He activates a console, and up pops our newest main character, the really gorgeously good-looking AI of Isabel.
Yes,
And she looks so cool. Like,
she does, and she's orange.
she's orange, but there's also a hint of color there as well. Like, she's got like a bit of flesh. She's wearing like kind of clothes, like fatigue, like a top, and like her hair is colored and everything. So she looks human, like the closest AI avatar I've seen to looking human, which is really interesting. And she is so freaked out, and she sees Spartans and is overjoyed, but like she is like emotionally unstable here, and it's really interesting to see this from an AI being like totally messed up.
They say when she pops on right away, doesn't it more or less say that she's the one that sent the signal?
Yeah.
Like it says on screen, distress beacon activated. Right.
It does, it does. And I wonder if that was just from him touching the console, and obviously she boots up. There's a quick back and forth between them here of like, okay, she knows nothing about them or where they've come from, so she doesn't know how out of the loop they are. So
she's like Spartans. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so Douglas is asking about like, where are the Covenant? She's like, Covenant? What? No Covenant. You have to get out of here. And then like there's like noises, and then she kind of freaks out. She's like, oh, he's here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the team kind of look around, and she is totally freaked out. And I'm going to say Douglas. Douglas just rips her out. It's like, hey, you're with us. Boom.
I love.
Is it Douglas or Jerome? I think it might be Jerome.
I think it could be Jerome, slightly taller, I think.
Well, they have their numbers on their chest, so I can try to figure that out here in a second.
That animation when she's ripped out and like the particles kind of go up. Oh, every time I'm like, oh my god, it's beautiful.
It's impossible to 10, Colin. No one can tell you that.
Impossible.
Okay.
I'm going to say it. Impossible.
Impossible.
Jerome.
They all look the same.
They all look the same. So what we get then is like red team moving into like a kind of open space inside the terminal, and it immediately goes bad. They get attacked by a brute, and he just beats the shit out of him. It's such a cool scene. He just whips him around. He has like a grav kind of hammer thing. He kind of pulls one of the Spartans in and rips him to shreds. He's knocking them left, right. Douglas kind of stabs him a few times. He does a kind of cool move. He gets kind of fucked up, and then he kind of goes in for the kill, and Aatrox just crushes him in his arm. Yeah, and you see him scream in pain and his armor breaking under the strain. It's so brutal and it looks so good. And then he turns on his hammer, and you just see it kind of light up with that red banish glow, and smacks Douglas in the chest. His helmet comes flying off, and then you get kind of the iconic scene of Aatrox, his kind of reveal. He's talking at the moment, and it's so cool of like the demon human underneath or something like
Run,
that.
little demons! Yeah,
the helmet. It's just
also
so
just
cool.
The animation of the helmet crushing is so satisfying. It looks amazing, and then the visor like cracks and kind of pops out. Oh, it's so good.
So his gravity mace. It's a gravity mace, and it's called the Chainbreaker.
I want 10 of them.
I knew it had a cool name. Yeah, it's so dope. So he pretty much just like lets them go, goes run, little demons run, and then lets like his brutes come after them, and you just see like red team just bug out straight away. They're like, nope, we are not ready for this. We're out of here. They shoot a bunch of times, but don't hit anything. And it's just like the reveal of Aatrox's face. Like we saw some of this in the reveal trailer, but it's just so cool looking. He's got so much personality, and Douglas is so dead. and it's just like
Yes.
it's just so cool. You see him shooting, and then just kind of passing out as he's kind of dragged away, and then all the rest of the brutes just kind of chasing after them. And then in an uber like overkill scene, you see like Red Team get into their Warthog and call for air support.
Mm-hmm.
Like straight away, get us the fuck out of here, blow this place up. Cutter, to his credit, is just like, yeah, no problem, blowing the place up. You get a cool scene of like all the kind of brutes and some elites interspersed on these hills, all shouting and screaming, and then you get like all these ghosts and kind of bursting out in between them and coming down the canyon. It's so dope. And Alice jumps on the train gun and starts shooting stuff. You get a cutscene from space of like Archer missiles being launched from the Spirit of Fire. And it's just so cool. It's just such a cool setting. There's like 5 billion ghosts coming after this one warthog. So unnecessary. And there's something else coming after them. I don't think it's ghosts, because it looks like it has wheels. I'm just looking at it there now again. I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's a different. There's a different vehicle that will.
It is a different vehicle. I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of. You see like the screen holds for a split second after those vehicles chase after you on the research facility, and you see the missiles coming in.
Yeah.
And like when the cutscene stopped, I was like, "Oh man, what do we not get to see?" But you do. But it's not in a cutscene form. But you see the missiles land.
Mm-hmm.
In cutscene in game.
Can we talk about the like little like mini cutscenes where they look like little Mega Bloks characters? Oh my god, it's so adorable! I love it.
They are very good. So a couple comments from me. When Atriox says, "As I suspected, nothing but a man," super powerful, because this may have been the first time it was revealed officially, at least to the Banished, that these Spartans, they're not like robots.
Yeah.
Or whatever they are.
Well, Atriox has a bunch of like Spartan armor like on his shit though, right? Huh?
I think he has. I think it's Marines and ODST stuff.
Oh,
yeah, because like in canon, I don't think they've met. Like the Banished and Humanity have met briefly. Like he's raided certain places,
but he hasn't met.
But I don't think they've been in direct conflict. Yeah, because Oni knew about him, but like only like peripherally from like other sources and stuff, and from like footage of him like raiding human locations. But I don't think the Spartans have never come into contact with Banished that we know of.
And for him to hit him so hard that his helmet pops off, like
that's good.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And he probably disabled his suit a little bit when he crushed it in his hand. But that's pretty wild. The what was the other thing I was going to mention here? That might have been it. So yeah, it's very good. Oh, they also show the Sangheili, which are also part of this new faction, the Banished, and we'll get more into them in a little bit, I think. But super great.
They're touched on in the comic of like where they come from and who they are.
Yeah. That's all good stuff. So definitely read that comic. And then from there, you run the hell out of there. You hop in your Warthog with your 2.5 Spartans now. Douglas is out of commission, and you just get the heck out of this area. You can run over some grunts to get that bonus objective if you want, or you can just try to skedaddle out of there and survive. But it's not really worth engaging any of the enemies, because the whole objective is just to get out of there. Yeah. So I mean, and then I guess it's interesting how Alice then she pops out and she's like, okay, I'm going to protect you guys. She pops out and then fends off the Banished, while the other two Spartans, Douglas and Jerome, they get on the Pelican and escape. So and we'll deal with that kind of plot point later on in these first couple missions. The other thing that I was going to mention, I remember now. Do you think that the Banished were trying to figure out who, like, what the Spirit of Fire is all about in this UNSC faction? Were they waiting there, or did they happen to get to did they intercept the signal at a similar time, and they were coming to this outpost? Did we both kind of get there at the same time? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Do you think it was like an ambush?
I haven't thought about it, but it's reasonable that he was waiting to see who would come for the beacon.
Mm-hmm.
He's smart like that. He probably was a trap, but you see, like the forces that he had there, he was probably expecting something big. Do you know what I mean? He was expecting something more,
like
maybe.
a bunch of reinforcements or something. He might not know that the portal shut down on Earth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that was something that was. Did we talk about that in the cutscene mention? So the portal was shut down on Earth, because of the created.
Yes.
And so that's a direct tie-in. Remember, we talked about the timeline, and I think Isabel mentions like 5 months ago that the portal was shut off, and
1 month later he showed up.
So that aligns perfectly with when, the Guardians and Cortana and all that stuff. What else you got, Krista?
I don't know. I'm off topic now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's.
That's it for this mission.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
it for the mission. I mean, it's super quick to play, but it's beautiful to play. And we'll get into actual RTS stuff in the next mission. Cool. Any other trivia that you missed, David?
Just some small bits. There, so the two about the cutscenes. It's the only level in which the 3 Spartans are merged into one unit, the Warthog. When Jerome identifies the research facility as Henry Lamb Research Outpost, the sign actually says Henry Lamb Research Facility.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Cool. And I did check Halopedia, and according to Halopedia, it was Jerome that pulled out the chip. So
it's impossible to tell, Colin.
They all look the same.
I think the voice actor. I think you can get by the voice actor. That's how they figured it out. Anyway. All right, let's do some community, and we will get out of here. A nice healthy episode.
You don't love me no more, Colin?
Oh, no, we got to do Phoenix Logs, don't we? You're right. I forget. It's been a while.
Colin doesn't love me
We've
anymore,
done
guys.
Phoenix Logs.
Okay, yes. We have a lot of Phoenix Logs, so I'm not going to read them verbatim because we'd be here all day. Because there's 6 of them. Because Halo hates me. All right. So we have a series. We have 2 series of 3. The first series is The Healing of Old Wounds. So the first one is the Journal of Nathaniel J. Palmer. Archaeologist at Henry Lamb Research Outpost. The date is 3/16/2558. Nathaniel's kind of marveling at the vastness of the Ark and its biological diversity. The Ark has suffered a lot of damage, and so his research team is activating dormant retriever sentinels. The last time they were active was in Hunters in the Dark 2555, where they decided to retrieve from the actual Earth, and it was really cool. And so they sent the retrievers to some lifeless planets, emphasis on lifeless, to help repair the Ark. If you haven't noticed, the little planetoid in the middle of the Ark is pretty much gone now, because that is a planet they captured for its resources, and it's pretty much tapped out at this point, so they have to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So the Healing of Old Wounds,
that's what they used to rebuild.
Yes, the Ark, and build halos as well. That little planet in the middle builds halos. So it's kind of been tapped out. It built an entire halo, and then it tried to repair the entire Ark. So it ain't looking good. So the Healing of Old Wounds Part 2 is 3 months later. The Retriever Sentinels are diligently working on the repairs, and they are rebuilding the ecosystem. And Henry Lamb's like, what? They can build ecosystems? Mm-hmm. He's very impressed. The Healing of Old Wounds Part 3. Nathaniel is amazed by the rebuilding of the Ark and wishes he could tell his family and show others. Of course, everything is super top secret Oni shit, so he cannot tell anyone, nor does he have the technology to do so when he is literally outside the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So the next 3 are A New Bridge to Cross. So this first one is, again, the Journal of Nathaniel J. Palmer, archaeologist at Henry Lab Research Outpost. The date is 4/2/2558. So Isabel is finally assigned to the outpost. She's really excited and eager. She's kind of like schmoozing with all the other researchers. Henry Lamb is like the old crotchety researcher that hates everyone was actually having a nice conversation with her. And so she's here to help them discover more stuff on the Ark. A New Bridge to Cross Part 2. Nathaniel looks back at the hopelessness felt during the Human Covenant War, and he's hopeful for the future and enjoying the newfound peace in the galaxy, which is helping him do more research. Little does he know. Bum, bum, bum.
Mm-hmm.
And then A New Bridge to Cross Part 3. Nathaniel's just kind of gushing about how technologically advanced the Ark is. That's pretty much it. He's like watching the Ark like build paths and stuff, not just rebuilding itself, but like cutting out, bridges and cliffs or whatever. He's like, wow, they know how to do that? That's amazing. And we're all like, yeah, we know. Forerunner shit's amazing. Shut up. Anyway.
Yeah.
Those are the 3. From now on, I think there's only 2 per mission, and I will read them verbatim for you guys.
Yes, thank you, Krista. So a lot of good, it just fleshes out the, like a lot of these logs that we find in Halo, or in video games in general, just kind of fleshes out the universe a little bit, and, maybe little nuggets that are dropped here and there that we could use to put the whole story together. Okay, now let's do some community. David, what do you have on Facebook?
Now, a lot of answers on Facebook. We have Colin Perkins, the admin, June 9th at 10:34 p.m. You wake up from cryo after 28 years of floating in space. What's the first thing you stuff in your face to take the edge off? Question for Mission Debrief, Halo Wars 2, the Signal Mission. This one can get saucy. There's a lot of actions or comments in here, so I'm touch upon some of the general ones. A lot of people like cake. There's a lot of cookies. Ben and Jerry's, I'm all about it.
Some English breakfast in there, I think.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. Extra large pepperoni deep dish. Fuck
you gotta read Trent's.
I'm getting there. We got some things I don't even know. Hottest buffalo yummy wings. I only just got that this very second by Matthew. That's really good.
That was good.
Patrick says, "Oh man, the Discord is going to be raunchy, lol, and mine would be a big ass cinnamon roll." Trent pops in with, "You're not wrong," with a picture of Chris's comment that just says, "dick."
That made me.
You said pop. You said pop in your mouth. Well, you said stuff in your face. So I'm like, well, you don't have to eat it. Okay. Anyway,
whatever. Yeah, some good comments. I don't know what this is, but it might make sense. I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda. So that's obviously Trent's order in a very specific
GTA.
place. Is it GTA?
Yeah, it's from GTA. It's a GTA reference.
Who plays GTA anymore?
Apparently not you.
Yeah, apparently everybody. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got. Some good stuff though, guys. Well done. Thank you very much for all your comments.
Absolutely. Okay, Discord, how raunchy did it get?
Oh, it's not too bad.
Or did you set the bar?
I set the bar, I'm always the best at being raunchy. But King Big Beard says, Taco Bell quesarito with nacho fries and extra, emphasis on extra, cheese sauce and a Baja Blast. I gotta love Taco Bell. Yum, yum,
Baja.
yum.
It's Baja.
Baja, but there's a J. Naz Hat, or, Spartan B312, I think it is. He says a burger from Triumph, which is one of the good places to eat around his area. Spartan Tundra says shrimp fettuccine. Dezudo says a full English breakfast. Bacon sausage, black pudding, fried eggs, fried tomatoes, black beans, fried bread, mushrooms, hash browns, toast, HP sauce, and Yorkshire tea.
Yeah, he put a picture in there too.
Except for the last thing, that's all good.
It looks really good. Lord Beerman says homemade beef Wellington. Bunny says Hoagie Haven bacon cheese steak. Zach the Beast says a bottle of whiskey and a Denver omelet. LT Tom says an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet. Gonna be hungry after 28 years. There's another full English breakfast by Jedi Spartan 38. King Big Beard also says Moa burgers.
Yeah.
Hector Elite says bacon, eggs, sausage, beans, hash browns, more bacon, loads of Cadbury shit, whiskey, Moa burgers, more Moa burgers, even more Moa burgers, 12-gauge shotgun shells, blood of my enemies, iron brew, mega contract stuff, fish and chips, and massive batch scarab sides for cup of tea, a real gun Mars bar, Sergeant Johnson's beer, hog roast cheese, potato fries, sweet potato fries. I had to breathe, sorry. Chicken nuggets, pasta, meatballs, bread, ungoy stuff, and a bunch of other stuff. He says try to do that one breath, and I failed. Lesbian says lots of dim sum. And Zach says gnocchi. Very good, very good. And then Dezudo wins with How about a packet of Old Ma Perengoski's ginger nut biscuits?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Old Ma Perengoski.
We love you.
Very nice. That was good. Thanks, guys, for all the comments. That will do it for our debriefing of The Signal from Halo Wars 2. On the next episode, we'll be covering a new enemy. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolve@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. And don't forget about that free audiobook trial. Visit audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. Until next time, evolve.
Evolve.
Evolved.